Never trust John, scoff the atheist archaeologists, dismissing a crucial narrative from the Gospel of John as mere fiction. With skepticism as their guide, they ventured into the depths of history to uncover evidence that would debunk the biblical account. But as the dust settled and the ancient relics spoke, a stunning revelation emerged. Was the Bible right after all? Follow along in our search. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on exciting archaeological discoveries that show the Bible is true. Atheist and liberal scholars for years have considered the Gospel of John historically unreliable. The Gospel of John was written significantly later than the other synoptic Gospels, towards the end of the 1st century. This temporal gap raised doubts about the accuracy of its historical details, as it relies on memories or, as some think, second-hand accounts. They contend that the author of John's Gospel likely did not have direct access to the events he describes, as the Gospel itself does not claim to be written by an eyewitness. This detachment from first-hand experience could have led to inaccuracies. Critics also argue that John's Gospel appears to have a strong theological agenda, emphasizing theological concepts and Christology more than historical accuracy. This inclination towards spiritual teachings they believe may have led to embellishments or distortions of historical events. One of the ways the authority of John's Gospel is dismissed is through widespread claims about several geographical inaccuracies in the Gospel. They cast doubt on the author's familiarity with Jerusalem and its surroundings. For example, in John 5:2, it mentions a pool called Bethesda near the Sheep Gate, but for a long period it was said archaeological evidence suggests no such location existed. What is the background to this claim? Let's first listen to what John says in chapter 5. After this there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the Sheep Gate a pool, in Aramaic called Bethesda, which has 5 roofed colonnades. In these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I'm going another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Get up, take up your bed, and walk." And at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked. There are several features here that should make Bethesda readily identifiable. It was a pool, it was near the Sheep Gate, it was possible for people to bathe in the pool, and most strikingly, it had 5 roofed colonnades. For several reasons, atheistic scholars did not believe Bethesda really existed. They did not believe the author of the Gospel of John had reliable information about the geography of Jerusalem and the events that took place during Jesus' life. As none of the other Gospels mentioned either the miracle that took place at Bethesda, or the place itself, they dismissed the story about the healing at Bethesda as myth. But not just atheistic scholars did not trust John. Also theologians with a liberal bent were not convinced Bethesda was real. Scholars like these thought that the notion of a 5-sided pool was purely symbolic, intended to represent the 5 books of the Torah that were somehow superseded by the miracle of Jesus. But were they right? What happened when archaeologists started to dig in earnest in the old city of Jerusalem? One candidate that recently has been named as Bethesda presents a formidable challenge for observation by archaeologists, let alone comprehension. It consists of 2 connecting pools that indeed are close to the Sheep Gate. Its significance to the early Christian church is evident through the construction of a Byzantine basilica at the eastern end of the pool found there. Massive foundation columns delve deep into the pool's depths, bearing witness to its historical importance. Further historical layers emerge with the subsequent construction of a Crusader chapel on the central wall, slightly to the north, overlapping the Byzantine remnants. Adding complexity to the site's narrative, just east of the pools lie ancient pagan baths, dedicated to the Roman deity Asclepius, the god of healing. Notably, a splendid Crusader church, still in use today, stands slightly southeast of the pool. The excavation process faces several complications, primarily stemming from the fact that only half of the southern pool has been unearthed. Surrounding houses on 3 sides, excluding the east, have hindered, if not obstructed, expansion of the excavation efforts. Another layer of complexity arises from the site's geopolitical context. Initially, the area encompassing the site was granted to France in 1856 by the Ottoman rulers as a token of gratitude for France's support during the Crimean War. However, since the Six-Day War of 1967, Israel has asserted control over the site and has restricted French archaeologists from conducting excavations there. An earlier study of the pools described them as two large pools that were both intended as reservoirs. Recent research and archaeological discoveries, however, strongly indicate that this is incorrect. The northern pool indeed is a reservoir. But there are clear indications the second pool was used as a mikveh, a Jewish ritual bath. The initial indication that the structure we observe today as a mikveh lies in the presence of steps spanning the entire width of the southern pool. These steps were designed to accommodate a significant number of individuals simultaneously partaking in ritual bathing. Such broad steps are a distinctive feature absent in reservoirs, as they significantly reduce the pool's overall capacity. Another unmistakable sign confirming the southern pool's identity as a mikveh is the presence of steps interspersed with landings. These three sets of steps and landings guide individuals to the pool's bottom. Following an initial landing, there are 4 steps, followed by another landing and 3 steps, then another landing and a final 2 steps leading to the pool's floor. These landings, essentially wider steps, provide sufficient space for a person to stand comfortably while undergoing immersion. As the water level within the pool occasionally fluctuated, bathers could descend further to ensure proper immersion. These features undoubtedly line up well with the possibility that this is the pool of Bethesda as encountered in the Gospel of John. But there is more to identify this place as a ritual bath. The wall effectively dividing the pool into 2 creates a structural division, essentially giving rise to 2 distinct pools. This wall functions as a dam, firmly anchored on bedrock and meticulously constructed without the use of mortar. Each course of the dam is intentionally set back approximately an inch from the one immediately beneath it, ensuring its stability. Within this dam, a chimney, or vertical opening, is integrated, featuring an entrance at the top of the structure. On both the east and west interior sides of this chimney, blocks are strategically positioned, forming a sort of ladder, facilitating both ascent and descent within the chimney. At the dam's base, a spacious doorway allows water from the northern pool to flow into the southern pool. This is an important feature confirming the use of the southern pool as a ritual bath. For ritual baths need to have living water that flows in, rather than drawn water. Until today, mikvehs have this structure with 2 different basin, ensuring that the water in the pool in which people bathe is the pure water needed in a ritual bath. There is one feature of the 2 excavated pools that really is the clincher to determine this indeed is the Bethesda mentioned in John. The rectangular pool is bisected by a central wall, making it into 2 pools. It is surrounded by porticos on all 4 sides, with a 5th one in the middle, making it truly a pool with 5 roofed colonnades as the Gospel of John says. Since ancient times, this area in Jerusalem had been connected to the healing of the paralytic in John 5. In 400 AD, a Byzantine church commemorated this miracle of Jesus here. In the Crusader time, a small church called the Church of the Paralytic was built on the wall separating the 2 parts of the pool. Later, a larger church was built nearby. But in the centuries after the Islamic conquest of Jerusalem, this memory was lost and the buildings changed into a waste dump. Only in the 19th century excavation brought the pools to light again. And fairly recently, the discovery that there had been 5 roofed colonnades confirmed without a doubt that this indeed was Bethesda, the place described by John in his Gospel. Never trust John as bad advice. He is reliable in what he tells about Jerusalem. The mention of the pool of Bethesda only in the New Testament's Gospel of John underscores John's profound familiarity with Jerusalem. Jesus often visited places like Bethesda because they attracted large crowds. In this place, a crippled man sought healing, and Jesus displayed his remarkable abilities at the pool of Bethesda with mere words. Immersion in the pool proved unnecessary, his spoken command held the power to heal.